Welcome to the ReZero If series. In case you don't know, the If series is non-canon stories written by Tappe. Now, I don't remember exactly where I saw it, but the best description that I've seen is that these are fanfics written by the author himself. There are lots of moments in the story where Subaru has choices to make, and the If series is about exploring the different choices. So what if Subaru had done this instead of that, and seeing where the story would have went. Most of the stories take place within the same universe as the canon story. So while the events aren't canon, the people are still in the universe and still will probably have the same personality. So it is possible that there will be some spoilers. New people are introduced in this story, but for the most part, I think it's fine. I think if you're that worried about a new person showing up, then you're going to have to read all the way up to like the seventh arc. Again, I think it's fine. As long as you have read or watched to the end of arc 2, then the main story is not going to be ruined. In case you need a reminder, the first two arcs are like the first half of the first season of the anime and the first three light novels. There are a few spots that extend past that, but I'll say something beforehand so that you can skip over that part if needed. Unlike the canon story, the If series is just a web novel. So I'm not going to be going through and comparing anything. Instead, I'm just going to go through the story and try to explain things the best I can. The Wrath route diverges in the second arc. The loop that Rem dies and Ram tries to kill Subaru, Beatrice comes in and saves him, but then Subaru just jumps off a cliff and kills himself so that he can reset to try to save everybody. But what if he didn't? What if instead he actually gets Beatrice to help him escape? And that's where this story picks up. Now, we don't know exactly what happened, but Beatrice has a lot of different magic that she could use to teleport him away. So I think that's probably the most likely thing, that she just teleported him away before Ram could attack him. Sometime later, Ram catches up with Subaru, and we don't know exactly when this happens. I'm pretty sure it's less than a year. My guess is that it was like within a month or two after the teleportation, but again, I'm not sure. His neck was being strangled by a great force. His shoulders were being held down by her legs. Even though he struggled against her, it wasn't out of an effort to escape. He knew he couldn't. His body was simply writhing in pain. What's so funny? This is just something Subaru does. Whenever he is about to die, his brain can't handle it and he starts to laugh. It's more of a nervous laugh than an actual laugh, but it's still creepy for everyone else. Suddenly, Ram loosens her grip and falls face first into the snow around them. Subaru coughs up blood and takes in as much air as he can. Corpses surround them, evidence of the battle that left the girl exhausted. Subaru finds a large stone about the size of a human head and lifts it overhead. I will definitely kill you. The sound of the stone connecting echoes through the forest. I think these are witch beasts. Subaru probably used his scent to draw them in to distract Ram. None of this is said or anything, but I think it fits. And if you think this is a crazy difference from what happens in the canon story, we are just beginning. So Subaru lives through this, and the story picks back up again a little while later. It's been 2 years since he was teleported away from the mansion, and now he's got a whole new reputation and title, complete with some really strong underlings, and he decides to go back to the mansion. Since the death of Rem and the disappearance of Ram, the only ones who remain in the mansion are Roswell, Beatrice, Amelia, and Frederica. Frederica hasn't been introduced yet as of the second arc. She was a maid at the mansion, but left before Subaru ever got there. And with the sisters being gone, Roswell asked her to come back. She feels very indebted to Roswell. She was close to the twins, and now she works very hard as the only maid. Things have gone downhill in the mansion, and she really wants things to get better. But that's not going to happen. Her feet froze to the ground. The ice consumes the walls in the hallway. Great Spirit, why? Puck floats above her. Sorry, Federica, you're not to blame. It's just that if I'm going to protect the most precious thing, then this is the best decision to make. There's no worth here anymore. Roswell was my miscalculation. That pitiful thing's just your everyday guy. Insulting the master of this house in front of me, a maid, can't be forgiven. You too are a pitiful child. Only you are desperate to protect this fallen place. Please stop talking as if you're referring to the past. This isn't over yet. She gets ready to counterattack, but Puck doesn't give her the chance. She is frozen in an instant. She actually doesn't die here. Amelia convinces them to spare her and Subaru takes her with him. Roswell is not doing well since Ram left. Amelia actually decided not to participate in the selection, which means that his dreams probably aren't going to happen. So 2 people close to him are gone, his dreams have been crushed, and he has pretty much given up. Because of that, Puck actually makes a plan with Subaru to get Amelia out, and that's what's happening right now. Roswell walks down the frozen hallway. The fact that he could get up and walk was mostly thanks to Frederica's efforts and encouragement. He wasn't surprised that everything was going downhill. He expected as much. But even so, leaving the girls to fend for themselves doesn't feel right. He catches a flash of a blade and manages to avoid a fatal slash, but loses his left arm in the process. A man stands close by. Oh my, to be able to dodge this is outside my expectations. If you're a person confident in more than just magic, my heart's relieved of a burden. It is really a great help. After all, something that's so one-sided doesn't fit my sense of aesthetics. No, I'd do it if told to do so, but I do want to avoid getting the villain treatment if possible. Roswell uses fire to stop his bleeding shoulder. Like in the rumors, you're quite talkative. The most powerful warrior of the Valachian Empire. Blue Lightning, Cecilus Segmund. I said that Subaru got some strong allies, and I wasn't joking. Each country has their strongest fighter. And we know that Lagunica has Reinhardt, and now someone around that level has teamed up with Subaru. Right now you could say that I'm on break. This business has nothing to do with the Empire. Then it's even more curious that you've abandoned your position as general and come here. What exactly is it that can make you move to such extent, I wonder? The emotions in Cecilus's eyes shift. It's a most important wish. I've never spoken of it to any living person. Someone guessed it correctly and went on to say that they could assist me with it. There wasn't any choice but to accept that opportunity. How unexpected. You don't seem to be the type to be another's puppet. Between being controlled by others and merely accepting the stage provided by fate, isn't there a subjective difference between the two? I accept the role of the world's star actor, the leading part in its script. Beyond that, it's part of the actor's skill set to ad-lib lines and performances, isn't it? Roswell can tell that his mind won't change. There's no talking his way out of this. I don't hate you. Rather, I quite like you. But because this is also my role, I will be taking that head of yours. He sheathes the sword and pulls out another. Ranked highest among blades, the Dream Sword, Mazayume. The sword that eats away at the holder's soul. I don't want to go into too much detail here. Cecilus actually has 2 really strong swords. They have their own bloodlust and require killing to use. I'm not completely sure what that means. The Mazayume is said to eat at the user's soul, but I don't know if that's like punishment for not killing or if it just does it anyway. We don't get a whole lot of details here. May I ask one thing? What are my weaknesses? My weak points are that I don't listen to people and I don't really have the composure of someone over the age of 20. Your employer's name. Cecilus leans forward, preparing to attack. Gossip around them has them down as a wretch, a fiend, and I've even heard some calling him the Purge King. But to you, I've been asked to communicate the correct name. After a dramatic pause, Cecilus gives the name and disappears. The nickname Blue Lightning truly fit him. So it was you after all. The attack was so fast that Roswell couldn't react. His final thoughts were of the girls in the mansion. They would probably die because of his actions, and it was far too late to apologize. The web novel tries to be all secretive about who the leader is, but I've already ruined it. It's Subaru. The Purge King is honestly such a good name. We'll get into why he's called that later on, and it's obviously not going to be a good thing, but the name itself is just so fucking good. So, of the 4 people in the mansion, we've seen 1 frozen, 1 beheaded. Amelia is the one being saved, which leaves us with 1 more person to see. The door creaked open. With the other doors taken out by Puck, only 1 door remained connected to the Forbidden Library. Yo, Beatrice. Subaru stands in the dining room. The voice and attitude were the same, but he almost looked like a completely different person. His hair had lost its luster, his eyes had lost their shine, and were now full of dark emotions. Do you remember, Beatrice? We ate here together. Eating together with you never happened, I suppose. Ah, that's right. You wouldn't know that. Yeah, that's my bad. It's always my bad. As a reminder, in this loop, he wakes up after being attacked by Rem in the forest. So he doesn't really do anything between the time that he reset and the night that he went to the Forbidden Library. In most of the loops in the second arc, he does eat in the dining room with everybody, except for this loop, which is the reason why she doesn't remember it. You might have a right to wish for revenge, I suppose. Even so, Betty has a role to fulfill. Beatrice raises her hand and prepares to blow him away. Come on now, Beatrice, wasn't there a contract to protect me? Hearing this, she hesitates. Even if it was only for a second, it was enough. Forgive me. With this, you won't be able to move. Figure steps out of the shadows. A beastman resembling a wolf. This is another person that hasn't been introduced yet into the main story, Halibel. And he is the strongest person in Kararagi, which means that Subaru has 2 of the 4 strongest people in the world on his side. A mysterious shinobi technique for binding shadows. No need for concern, however. It shouldn't be active for very long. You are my benefactor, after all. Subaru slowly walks forward until he's close. Back then, you let me run away, and I'm here now. There's definitely something I wanted to tell you. You and I were of the same kind. His eyes suddenly soften. They look the same as back then. At that time, I had no other path but to die. But you didn't give up on me. You saved me. Even now, how many times do thoughts of that red glowing sunset come to mind? Why didn't you kill me? Were those words of gratitude or resentment? Her arm drops. She was no longer under the binding effects, but she no longer had the will to fight back. Beatrice, I'm thankful for you. I think I probably did like you. Within that time, only you truly drew close to me. Halibel, a kunai. You sure? A kunai. The black blade sticks into the ground nearby. Subaru grabs the knife. I'm happy that you remembered our contract. He gets close to Beatrice, tears running down her face. He had stated that they were the same kind. That statement touched a chord with her. Subaru raised the blade and ends her life. Subaru has gone down a dark path. He connected with her, and more than likely he's not saying all of this to try to manipulate her. I think he genuinely felt like he was close to her. When he was there, he saw the same desperation and depression in her eyes that he felt while he was running away. He doesn't think that she will go with him, so this is kind of the next best thing. To him, this was a mercy killing. So there is a little bit of a spoiler here, and I'm going to put a timestamp. It's probably only going to be a couple minutes ahead. But if you haven't read the 4th arc or watched the 2nd season of the anime, then skip to this time. It's not something that's going to ruin the story or anything, but I think it's something that's better to learn as the story progresses normally. Now, I don't want to fuck up the story by saying it here, and I think I've stalled for enough time. Subaru grabs the knife and walks over to Beatrice, and she says one more thing. Are you that person? And this is in reference to the person that Echidna told her to wait for. She's been waiting hundreds of years for that special person. Subaru says that he saw her emotions, understood them, and says they're the same. So of course her first conclusion is going to be that he is that special person that she has been waiting for. As soon as he says that they are the same, she loses the will to fight. And that's the reason why she doesn't do anything even though she's no longer stun locked. And the way it's written, I'm not even sure she fully believes that he is the one. But just like Subaru, she is stuck in despair, and she's perfectly okay with just letting it end. Subaru doesn't know what any of that means, But he sees her crying, sees how much she is struggling just to ask the question. So he lies to her. He raises the knife and says, "Yeah, I'm that person," and then kills her. He is smiling, but it's not like an evil smile. Again, to him, this was a mercy killing. And in that moment, he probably thought it was kinder to say yes. He thought that the best thing to do for her was to release her from the depression that she was in by killing her. At least that's the way it comes off to me. I could obviously be wrong. Actually, while I have the spoiler warning up here, I'm going to give some quick info. Since Amelia isn't an official candidate, the events that happen in Arc 3 won't happen here. The only reason that the witch cult attacked is because of the announcement and her description getting out to the public. Since they don't attack, I'm not sure if the white whale shows up in the plains or not. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Cruchet's camp eventually tries to kill the white whale, either then or some other time. And they get wiped. Cruchet and almost everyone that goes along with her end up dying. Without Subaru's info and the help of the Iron Fang, they do not stand a chance. And that is enough spoilery info for now. To sum up the story so far, Subaru ran away, fought with Ram, got some allies, made a plan with Puck to get Amelia out, and then brought two of the strongest people in the world to attack the mansion. And all that happened in about 2 years, from the time that he left the mansion to the time that he returned to attack it. I'm going to be honest here. I have no idea why Subaru decided to attack. It seems like it would be just as easy to have Puck convince Amelia to just leave. Roswell's not in any shape to stop her. Beatrice doesn't care. Frederica probably would have protested, but eventually would have let her go. So I kind of agree with Beatrice on this one. I'm not sure if it actually was revenge, but it felt personal. The revenge take would make sense. I mean, they thought that he killed Rem and were threatening to kill him in return. I mean, that's the entire reason he ran away in the first place. They do eventually find out the truth whenever other people in the village start dying, but by that point it's too late. That's probably why Beatrice thinks this is all about revenge. But maybe not. With what we learned about Subaru later, I'm not completely sure it was revenge. One thing I do want to point out is that Subaru still has returned by death. In fact, he's probably died a lot from the time that he left the mansion until now. We don't get like an exact number or anything, and the general consensus of what I've seen is it's in the hundreds to low thousands. Because we don't get a number, it could even be in the single digits for all we know. But given what it would take for Subaru to get Halibel and Cecilus on his side, he's probably died a lot. So while we go through this story, keep in mind that Subaru doesn't go back to the canon timeline when he dies. The reset point has already been moved. He is locked into these events. And I'm actually going to stop here. There is a lot more info to go over, and this is kind of the best spot to stop. So we'll see what Subaru has been up to next time. See ya.